the true Israelites are black people, because, you know, you got people going around saying all type of things. You look at that incident that just happened a couple of weeks ago, where you had the young Catholics, and then you had the Hebrew Israelites that was standing there screaming at the young Catholics, Gentiles, and then you had the Indians standing in the middle of them. And so one of the Hebrew Israelites brothers said, well, no, here comes Gad, get your feet down. Here comes Gad, speaking of the Indians as being the tribe of Gad. And the Indians are not the tribe of Gad. Now, we don't have nothing bad to say about anybody, any nationality, okay? But we do know that the tribe of Gad are not the Indians. You know, that's real strange how the Lord said, I'm going to scatter the children of Israel among all the nations, and then you got all 12 tribes right here on the American continent. That's real strange. So we're going to show you that the true Israelites are black people. Then you got some people that's calling themselves Jews. You got some in Asia. You got some in Israel. Right? People that's calling themselves Jews that are not. And like I said, throughout this series, we're going to show you that we indeed are the descendants of the children of Israel. We are. So we're going to start the lesson off. We're going to start the lesson off in 1 Chronicles, the first chapter, and we're just going to run down the genealogy real quick. Right? So we're going to start off with Noah. And we're just going to run the genealogy down real quick. So we had 1 Chronicles 1 and 4. 1 Chronicles 1 and 4. Everybody got it?
Amen.
Go ahead and read.
This is 1 Chronicles chapter 1, verse 4. Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Now these are Noah's three sons right here. Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now we're not going to deal with Japheth today, but we are going to deal with Shem and Ham's descendants, because Shem and Ham, when it comes to Israel and the so-called African and the Egyptian and everything, they played a role in the life and times of the Israelites. The Hamites did. So he said Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Skip down to verse 24. Skip to verse 24. Go ahead and read.
24. Shem, Arphaxad, Shelah, Eber, Peleg, Reu, Serug, Neher, Terah, Abram. The same as Abram. Now everybody knows who Abraham is, right? So now we're down to Abraham. Now read the next verse. Who are the sons of Abraham? The sons of Abraham, Isaac, and Ishmael.
If you notice, Isaac's name was first. Why is Isaac named first? Because Isaac is the son of the promise. We know that Ishmael was born first, but Isaac was the son of the promise. So God had his name called first. Now I want to say something about Ishmael. Now, whose son is Ishmael? Abraham, right? Who did Abraham come through? He came through Shem, not through Ham. Because you know you got people thinking that Ishmael, which is the father of the Arabs, they believe that he is an Egyptian, and that could be furthest from the truth. He is a Shemite. You know, I used to people say anti-Semitic. Well, he's Semitic. He is not Hamitic. And we know and understand that the Arabs took over Egypt around the 6th century. But he is not an Egyptian. Let's get that clear. Let's make that perfectly clear, as some brothers say. So skip down, read that verse 28. Read verse 28.
28. The sons of Abraham, Isaac, and Ishmael.
Isaac and Ishmael. Okay, skip down to verse 34.
34. And Abraham begot Isaac, the sons of Isaac, Esau, and Israel.
Oh, the sons of Isaac, Esau, and Israel. Well, who is this Israel? But we're not going to deal too much with Esau today. We get him at a later time. So, but who is this Israel right here? Let's go to Genesis, the 35th chapter, Genesis 35. We just simplifying it for you and making it real easy for you to understand our genealogy.
Yes, sir.
Genesis 35 and 9. Genesis 35 and 9. Who is this Israel? Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. Genesis chapter 35, verse 9. And God appeared unto Jacob again when he came out of Padanaram and blessed him.
Now this is Jacob now. God appeared to him in Padanaram. Go ahead and read.
And God said unto him, Thy name is Jacob. Thy name shall not be called any more Jacob, but Israel shall be thy name.
You see what he just said? Your name is Jacob, but your name should not be called Jacob anymore. Your name should be called Israel.
Yes, sir.
And that means, as a prince, thou hast power with God and with men, and have prevailed. So he changed Jacob's name to Israel. So when you see Isaac had Esau and Israel, Isaac had Esau and Jacob. And they were twins. Does everybody understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, now, I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible. Let's go now. Let's go to Exodus, the 1st chapter, because Jacob had 12 sons. Exodus 1, and we're going to pick it up in verse 1. Exodus 1 and 1. Jacob had 12 sons, which are the 12 tribes of Israel. Exodus 1 and 1. Go ahead and read.
Exodus chapter 1, verse 1.
Now
these are the names.
Get that slide ready. Go ahead.
Now these are the names of the children of Israel, which came into Egypt. Every man and his household came with Jacob.
Now they came with Jacob. Go ahead and read.
Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah.
Now he said Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. If you notice something right here, you see the priest tribe. Because this is Jacob's first wife, which had Levi. That's the priest tribe. Then she had Judah, which is the king tribe, which the Jews came out of. Right? And these both were by his first wife, Leah. His first wife. Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. It says Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin. Dan and Naphtali, Gad and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob was 70 souls. For Joseph was in Egypt already. So now how many sons did Jacob have? 12 sons. And these are the 12 tribes of Israel. Skip to verse 8. Skip to verse 8. Because when they were down in Egypt, the Egyptians afflicted them. You know, they started having a lot of kids. And the Egyptians like, man, they having too many kids. You know, we have to do something about these people. Because if we don't, then if our enemy comes against us, they're going to fight with our enemy to destroy us. So we got to do something about them. But skip to verse 8. Skip to verse 8. Go ahead and read it. Verse 8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we.
See, they're more and mightier than we.
Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies
Uh-huh.
and fight against us. And so get them up out of the land.
Uh-huh.
Therefore, they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them.
They did set over them taskmasters to afflict them. Go ahead and finish that.
To afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramesses.
Now, this first slide you see right here, this would be the ancient Israelites. Now, these are the Egyptians. This is the Egyptian right here flogging an Israelite. You see what color they both are? They both black. And this one right here, he asked for mercy. Oh no, not me next. So, but you see this Egyptian right here flogging an Israelite. And this is another Israelite right here. And they all are the same color. They all are black. Now, to my friend that said that the Egyptians are Arabs, these all are black. The Egyptian right here and the Israelites are black, not Arab. Go ahead and read verse 12.
12.
Uh-huh.
But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew.
See, you know, because Israel, he gets sorrowful, boy. He just go lay with his wife, and they just start having babies. Go ahead and read.
The more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel.
Uh-huh.
And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage.
And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage. Your mic working?
Yes, sir.
All right. Read that verse again, verse 14.
And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage.
Uh-huh.
In mortar and in brick.
In mortar and in brick. So, you know, they had children of Israel building these cities and building these pyramids. So they had them build them with mortar and with brick. Did you finish that?
Mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field.
Now, in all manner of service in the field. Now, we're at the next slide now, Brother Aaron. So it said ancient Israelite captivity. Brick-making captives depicted on a wall painted from the tomb of Rachmira at Thebes, 1533 through 1450 BC. Bearded foreigners under the supervision of an Egyptian with stick far right. I don't know if you can see the guy with the stick. We already seen one guy with a stick already. We don't need to see another one, right? So he said, with the stick, gather water and work mud and straw together in two molds. At the top left, a worker lifts a mold from a sun-dried brick. Because this is what the children of Israel were doing during this time. They were making bricks for Pharaoh. Right? Building these treasure cities, Pithom and Ramesses. Right? So he said, at far right, a worker carries cured bricks to building site. Israelite workers were making bricks in Egypt at the time this was painted. So at the time that this was painted, Israelites were making bricks during this time in Egypt. And you see what color they are, right? Now you think, because we're looking at ancient times around 1500 BC, that they didn't know how to paint and make pictures and everything. We can go all the way back during the caveman days and show you where they were making paintings, or not paintings, but drawings and stuff. And by this time, men had advanced to where they were making colors. So they knew exactly what color the children of Israel were. They were a dark skin, or what we term today as black. Does everybody see that?
Amen.
Now, let's go to Genesis, the 10th chapter. Genesis, the 10th chapter. So far we don't see nowhere where no Egyptians nor Israelites look like any Arabs. And we all the way back in 15, down to 14 something BC. Let's go to Genesis 10, and we're going to pick it up at verse 6. We're going to deal with Ham's seed for a minute here, because we just dealt with Shem's seed, which were the Israelites. We have Genesis 10, pick it up at verse 6. Go ahead and read it.
Genesis chapter 10, verse 6. And the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, and Phut, and Canaan.
Now we're going to find out who these sons are. He said Cush, Mizraim, Phut, and Canaan. Go ahead and read.
Verse 7.
And
the sons of Cush, Seba, and Havilah, and Sapta, and Ramamah, and Sapachah, and the sons of Ramamah, Sheba, and Dedan.
Skip to verse 13. You want to be dealing with some names today, so. Verse 13. Go ahead.
13. And Mizraim begot Ludum, and Anamim, and Lehabim, and Naphthalim, and Pathrusim, and Casahim, out of whom came Philistine.
Oh, so Mizraim had the Philistines. We'll show you what this word Mizraim means in Hebrew. But you see, the Philistines came out of Mizraim as well.
That's right, brother.
Go ahead and read.
Out of whom came Philistine and Caphtorim. And Canaan begat Sidon.
And Canaan, now this is Ham's fourth oldest son, rather. Canaan. So he said, and Canaan begat Sidon,
his firstborn.
Go ahead.
And Heth, and the Jebusite.
Oh, wait a minute. He called the Jebusites came out of Canaan.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
And the Amorite, and the Girgasite, and the Hivite, and the Archite, and the Sinite, and the Arvadite, and the Zemarite, and the Hamathite.
And the Hamathite. Because we're going to show you later on in the next lesson, the children of Israel are going to be gathered, well, the fourth lesson rather, the children of Israel are going to be gathered. This is one of the places they're going to be gathered from, Hamath. So he said the Hamathites,
And afterward were the families of the Canaanites spread abroad. And the border of the Canaanites was from Zidon, as thou comest to Gera, unto Gaza.
Go ahead.
And thou goest unto to Sodom and Gomorrah.
As thou goest unto Sodom and Gomorrah. So these Sodom and Gomorrah are Canaanites, African people. This is who we are dealing with, African people. So he said, and the border, verse 19, and the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon, as thou goest to Gerar, unto Gaza. You see that? You even hear about that sometimes today, the Gaza Strip. These were black people in this land.
Yes, sir.
The land of the Canaanites, which we call today Israel. Those were black people originally. So he says, thou goest to Gaza, as thou goest unto what? Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah, black people. Go ahead and read.
And Admah and Zeboim, even unto Lusha. These are the sons of Ham, after their families, after their tongues, in their countries, and in their nations.
Now, did I say this, or did God have Moses to write this? Because, you know, some people got a problem when you say, well, we all one family, yeah, but God broke us up as nations.
Yes, sir.
Because you go read about Shem and his family and his tongues and his nations, Japheth, which are the Gentiles, and their family and tongues and nations. So now if you got a problem with that, then your problem is with God.
Make it plain, brother.
Not with us. We just read. Now, let's go to we're going to look at some definitions right here. So we're going to Altenheimer's Bible Dictionary, and we're going to look up Ham's oldest son first, which is Cush. Who is Cush?
This is Altenheimer's Bible Dictionary. Cush, page 28. It says, Cush, black in parentheses.
That's what Cush means. Ethiopia, Cush, black. Go ahead.
Then it says, oldest son of Ham.
Uh-huh.
It says that indefinite country translated Ethiopia.
Oh, so Cush is Ethiopia. Cush is Ethiopia. Now, are you finished with that?
It says the country settled by Ham's descendants.
Now, let's go now. We're going to look up Mizraim. For Mizraim, we're going to, we're going to go to, I think we're going to Zondervan. No, we're going to Atlanta again. Let's just read it here.
Once again, this is Alton Hyman's Bible Dictionary, page 66. Mizraim. It says red soil in parentheses. It says son of Ham. Then it says the Old Testament word translated Egypt.
It's translated what?
Egypt.
Egypt. So Mizraim in Hebrew is what? Egypt. Does everybody understand? Amen. We are dealing with the Egyptians right here. So, because the word for Mizraim, that's Hebrew. And it is translated to Egypt. So, Mizraim had the Egyptians and they had the Philistines. I want y'all to pay close attention now. Amen. Now, we're going to look up Ham in the Zondervan's Bible Dictionary. What does Ham say? Right there,
yes, sir. This is Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary. This is on page 213. Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood, he became the progenitor of the dark races.
He became the progenitor of the dark races.
Not the Negro.
Not the Negroes. Wait a minute. Who are the Negroes? y'all can say it. We the Negroes. So Ham is the father of the dark races, but not the Negroes. Who is he the father of?
But the Egyptian.
Ethiopian.
Libyans.
That's Foot. By the way, that's Foot. That's Ham's 3rd oldest son, Foot, which is Libya.
And Canaanites.
And the Canaanites. But wait a minute. How could he not be our father? We African Americans, aren't we?
So.
Or are we? Are we? So now, if Ham is not our father, then who is our father? We know that Japhet is not our father because Japhet is the father of the Gentiles.
That's right, brother.
So who is left? Shem is the only one that's left.
Yes, sir.
Now, let's go to Exodus, the 6th chapter. Exodus, the 6th chapter. See, there's a method to our madness. We run around telling, those brothers that was in Washington, D.C. that had that incident there, they know that they're Israelites. They know that. And I ain't going to say most of, but a lot of your black people are finding out that, hey, man, these people got a point here. Even the ones that call themselves Jews are saying now, hey, these people got a point. Even Farrakhan saying now, hey, we are the children of Israel.
Yes, sir.
He still haven't let that Islam thing go, but he's still saying that. He don't want to let that go. But everybody is starting to notice now, we are the children of Israel. Amen. Notice how it hit national news just a few days ago. when those Hebrew, they want to stop short of saying black Hebrew Israelites, but they said the Israelites were standing out there with those young Catholics and with the Indians. That was national news. Now I got my own suspicions about that, but I don't teach that. So God is starting to wake our people up, and he's starting to let other nationalities and people see that we indeed are the children of Israel.
Hallelujah.
Only thing you have to do is sit down and be quiet and pay attention and stop kicking. Amen. Stop kicking. You know, my brother came with this book and started telling me, you know, we the children of Israel. He was hollering and I'm like, calm down, brother. What's wrong with you? He all at the house and everything and got mama upset and all was upset and everything. I said, Mama, we not no children of Israel. Once he opened that book up and started showing me some things, then he started sending me those lessons from the Israel of God, from Brother Boy and Brother Daddy. I was like, man, we the children of Israel.
Yes, sir.
This is undeniable. It's unrefutable. Let's go now. Let's go to, we're at Exodus 6, and we're going to pick up at verse 1. Exodus 6 and 1. Go ahead and read it.
Exodus chapter 6, verse 1.
Uh-huh.
Then the Lord said unto Moses, Now shalt thou see what I will do to Pharaoh.
Uh-huh.
For with a strong hand shall he let them go, and with a strong hand shall he drive them out of his land.
Uh-huh.
And God spake unto Moses, and said unto him, I am the Lord. And I appeared unto Abraham, and to Isaac, and unto Jacob, by the name of God Almighty.
Uh-huh.
By my name Jehovah was I not known to them.
Go ahead.
And I have also established my covenant with them.
I have also established my covenant with them. Not with Ishmael, but with the children of Israel, with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Uh-huh.
Make that plain. To give them the land of Canaan.
To give them what?
The land of Canaan.
The land of Canaan. And that is the land that that Israel sits on right now, is the land of Canaan. That's Africa. In case you don't understand, you know, they want to call it Middle East. I think I talked about this last week. Middle East or what? And like we're going to see this brother right here, Middle East, where's the middle north, the middle west, and the middle south?
There is none.
There is none. Then they try to be slick and try to put that Suez Canal in there, and now it's sitting on the Asian continent, but no, that is still Africa. Just because you put a body of water there.
Yes, sir.
That makes it, no. Now, we do understand that the tectonic plates move and everything, because at one time, the whole earth was one mass. And then in Peleg's day, that's when the Lord started separating the earth. You know, people want to try to deceive, but you can't. Once the Lord wants you to understand something, you're going to understand it. And the whole world going to understand it.
Yes, sir.
If you watch this lesson, you're going to understand it. Read that verse 4 again.
And I have also established my covenant with them.
Uh-huh.
To give them the land of Canaan.
Uh-huh.
The land of their pilgrimage.
Go ahead.
Wherein they were strangers.
Canaan, that is Ham's what? Fourth oldest son. That's Ham's fourth oldest son, right? Canaan. Now, we're going to show a picture right here of the Canaanites. Now, these are the Canaanites, and if you notice something, they have what? Black features. Or if you want to say, you know, just for identification, African features. Because they are African, right? They're not Negroid, they are African. Let's get that straight. African, Negroid is two different people. You're going to see that really in the next lesson as well. But to notice something, this is their God El right here. These are the features of an African person. If you look at these features right here, these are the features of African, not Arab, not Gentile, but African. Does everybody understand that?
Amen.
Now, let's go to, do we got another slide? We're going to the video next. We're going to this video. Go ahead and play that video.
Most Egyptologists and anthropologists, archaeologists of the Eurocentric persuasion will say that Egypt is in Africa. They had to concede that, but then they still draw the line by saying that they weren't Africans like that. In other words, they weren't dark-skinned people. And of course, this is all part of the Great Deception. And the reality is that if they give up Egypt, ancient Kemet, if they give that up and say that that was a part of black Africa, then they will also have to give up Israel. And that's why they draw the line at Egypt, because if they give up Egypt, they've got to give up Israel.
Now, we're going to go over here, and I'm going to show you where Israel sits on the African tectonic plate, which means that Israel is northeast Africa. Now, when we look at this map, this is the Sinai, okay? This is the Red Sea. This is Egypt. This is the Sinai. This is Israel. All right, this is Saudi Arabia over here. Now, if you see this in Hebrew, it says Haluach Africani, the African plate. Here it is right here. Israel is sitting right here. Israel is sitting on the Haluach Africani, which means that Israel is northeast Africa.
Without question, we are in northeast Africa. We are landlocked to Egypt, with the exception of the Suez Canal, which was a man-made ditch, a boundary now between, in fact, it's not even really a boundary anymore since Egypt has reclaimed the Sinai Peninsula. But nevertheless, even those of us who are Pan-Africanists in our thinking and Afrocentric, we forget and we leave off that portion of northeast Africa and don't want to claim anything beyond that.
Europeans classified this area as the Middle East. You know, and then since this the Middle East, the other question, where the Middle West? Where the Middle North and where the Middle South? They don't have no geographical terms like that. And the only reason why they use that term, Middle East, because it disconnects the proper connotation that should go with describing this land geographically.
Are Israelites in Damona, Israel, right? And so they were the one, they sitting right there on the land. They right there in Damona, and they telling you that Israel is sitting on the African tectonic plate. It's still in Africa. Just because they put that man-made barrier there, that doesn't mean anything. But you notice what he said, though, is that where's the middle north? Where's the middle south? Man, where's the middle west? And if you want to go for this Middle East thing, then you go for it. But it's still, no matter how you try to slice it, it's still sitting on the African continent. Israel is. It's still sitting on the African continent. Now, let's go to Matthew the 15th chapter, because we're going to show you without a doubt that the Israelites indeed are a black people. Matthew 15, and we're going to pick it up at verse 21. Now, Jesus right here was dealing with a Canaanite woman, and he was dealing with a Canaanite woman because the Canaanites were still in the land. Even when you go all the way back to, and we're going to go back to where Joshua had taken over the land, it was still Canaanites in the land when they took over the land. And the Canaanites were there from the time that, because they were natives of that land up until the time of the 1st century. They were still there. Let's go now. Let's first go. Let's go to Matthew the 15th chapter. Matthew 15. We're going to pick it up at verse 21. Matthew 15 and 21. Go ahead and read it.
Yes, sir. Matthew chapter 15, verse 21. Then Jesus went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Zidon. And behold,
now wait a minute. He said, and then Jesus went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and what?
Zidon.
Sidon. Isn't that the Canaanite? That's one of the Canaanite sons right there. Sidon. But this town was named after him. Go ahead and read.
And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying.
Now this woman came out of the coast of Canaan. Go ahead and read.
And cried unto him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil.
Go ahead.
But he answered her not a word. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, Send her away.
So, you know, if that had been an Israelite woman, he would have said, woman, what do you want? But he's dealing with a Canaanite woman right here. And they know the difference between Canaanites and Israelites. Just like with the Egyptians, when they had the children of Israel in slavery, they know who was a Egyptian and they know who the Israelites were.
Make it plain.
Just like now, you let an African walk up in here and start talking, we know that that guy right there is African.
You got to talk.
I didn't want to go there, but go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But he answered her not a word, and his disciples came and besought him, saying, Send her away, for she crieth after us.
Go ahead.
But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Now wait a minute, if she was an Israelite, then he wouldn't have told her that. Because he said, I'm sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. She would have been a part of the lost sheep of the house of Israel if she had been an Israelite.
Yes, sir.
But she was a woman of Canaan.
That's right, brother.
Go ahead and read.
Verse 25. Then came she and worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me.
Now, look at that, the African coming in. Lord, help me. An African. Go ahead and read. That's how it's going to be when the Lord returns.
Yes, sir.
It's just not going to be just African. It's going to be everybody.
Yes, sir.
Talking about, Lord, help me.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read.
Verse 26.
Because I'm going to show you something about this Lord right here. Go ahead and read.
Verse 26.
Uh-huh.
But he answered and said, It is not meet to take the children's bread and to cast it to dogs.
Ooh, you see what he called out? That's kind of hard there, wasn't it?
It's written, brother.
Said it is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to the dogs. Now, if that was an Israelite woman, he wouldn't be saying this to her. Because she would be one of the children, right?
That's right.
It is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to the dog. This is how the Lord thought of these Canaanite people. Dogs. Go ahead and read.
Verse 27.
Uh-huh.
And she said, Truth, Lord.
Uh-huh.
Yet the dogs eat of the crumbs.
She didn't say no. I ain't no dog. Who do you think you're talking to? Calling me a dog. She didn't say none of that. Because she knew who she was talking to. She said, Truth, Lord. Truth, Lord. Yet the dogs eat from the crumbs which fallen from their master's table. See, this Canaanite woman had some faith here. African woman. She had faith in the Lord. Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. It says, Yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which fall from their master's table. Then Jesus answered and said unto her, O woman, great is thy faith. Be it unto thee even as thou wilt.
Go ahead.
And her daughter was made whole from that very hour.
Now tell me the Lord don't deal with other nations.
Come on.
Oh, no, he was sent but to the lost sheep. Yeah, he was sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But if somebody else shows some faith, he's going to deal with them too.
Bring that out, brother.
He's going to deal with them too. If a person of another nation shows some faith, he's going to deal with them.
Hallelujah.
Let's go to Ezra. Let's go to Ezra, the second chapter. Ezra, the second chapter. And we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Ezra 2 and 1. Now I want to show y'all something here. Ezra 2 and 1. Ezra 2 and 1. Go ahead and read that.
This is Ezra chapter 2, verse 1.
Now this right here was dealing with Solomon's servants right here, which he had inherited from the Pharaoh, which had destroyed parts of the Canaanites. So Pharaoh had destroyed the Canaanites. He gave these Canaanites as servants to his daughter, which had married, which was one of Solomon's wives. Right? So now let's read about this for a minute, because I want to show y'all something. Ezra 2:1. Go ahead, start reading, brother.
Now these are the children of the province that went up out of captivity, of those which had been carried away, whom Nebuchadnezzar the king of Babylon had carried away into Babylon, and came again into Jerusalem and Judah.
Okay. Now, so they get ready right here, get ready to rebuild the temple. Go ahead and read. So these people came up to help rebuild the temple. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. And came again into Jerusalem and Judah, every one into his city, which came with Zerubbabel, Joshua, Nehemiah.
I told you we're going to be dealing with some names today. We go ahead and read.
Nehemiah, Sariah, Reliah, Mordecai, Bilshan, Mispar, Bigvai, Rehum, Baanath, and the number of the men of the people of Israel.
Go ahead.
The children of Parish, 2,172.
Skip to verse 55. Skip to verse 55.
Verse 55.
So now they coming up to rebuild the temple, right? But look at what happened. Go ahead and read. Verse 55. Go ahead.
Chapter 2, Ezra chapter 2, verse 55. The children of Solomon's servants, the children of Sotai, the children of Sepharith, the children of Peruda, the children of Jehala.
Now remember he said the children of Solomon's servants.
Yes, sir.
Right? Go ahead and read.
The children of Sotai, the children of Sepharith, the children of Peruda, the children of Serlah, the children of Tarkum, the children of Gideah, the children of Shephatiah, the children of Hattil, the children of Pekurath, the Pekurath of Zabulon, and the children of Amai. All the Nethinims.
All the Nethinims.
Yes, sir.
All the Nethinims. Go ahead and read.
All the Nethinims and the children of Solomon's servants were 390 and 2.
So we got 392 people right here.
Yes, sir.
Solomon's servants. Right? Go ahead and read.
Verse 59. And these were they which went up from Tamala, Tarsa, Cherub, Aden, and Immer. But they could not show their father's house and their seed, whether they were of Israel.
Now these all went up, but they couldn't show whether their father's house. Because you know the genealogy is reckoned by who? The man or the father, right? But these people right here, they couldn't show their father's house.
Come on.
So wait a minute. You can't show your father's house. You got a problem. You got to stand over there till we figure out what's going on. Because these people right here they was all up in the priest's office and everything. Go ahead and read.
Verse 60. The children of Deliah, the children of Tobiah, the children of Nikuda, 650 and 2. And the children of the priest, the children of Hapareh, the children of Kuz, the children of Barzillai, which took a wife of the daughters of Barzillai, the Gileadite.
Wait a minute now. These men right here took wives of the children of Israel.
That's right, brother.
And what did they do?
And was called after their name.
And were called after their name. So these men took wives of the children of Israel and called themselves after the woman's name. Because when a man marries a woman, the woman takes on his name, right?
That's right.
But these men married these Israelite women and took on their name. So what was their name then? Israel.
Teach.
But they couldn't show their father's record stuff. Does everybody understand what I'm saying?
Come on, man.
What the book is saying.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read.
Bring it out.
And that's kind of unusual that men would take on their wife's last name. That's kind of unusual.
Still today. Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
But these men took on the wife's last name, which was Israel. But they couldn't find their father's records. Go ahead and read.
Verse 62.
Uh-huh.
These sought their register among those that were reckoned by genealogy,
Uh-huh.
but they were not found.
But they were not found. So these men right here, their records were not found. Go ahead and read.
Therefore were they as polluted, put from the priesthood.
Now, so now they all up in the priest's office, right? And so now they put from the priesthood. We can't find y'all records, man. So now y'all got to stand over here till we figure out what's going on. How you get the last name Israel? They probably say, well, I took on my wife's last name. What's that verse 63 say?
And the Tershatha said unto them,
Go ahead.
that they should not eat of the most holy things till there stood up a priest with Urim and with Thummim.
Now, he said they should not eat of the most holy things no more until one stand up with some light and perfection.
Yes, sir.
That understands what's going on to figure this thing out.
Make it plain.
Now, we're going to show you who these men were that was in the priest's office that took on these, married these Israelite women and took on their names. Let's go now. Let's go to 1 Kings, the 9th chapter. 1 Kings, the 9th chapter. Because remember, Solomon's servants, right? So we have 1 Kings, the 9th chapter. 1 Kings, the 9th chapter. And we're going to pick it up at verse 16. Just follow along with me. 1 Kings, the 9th chapter, and verse 16. 1 Kings, the 9th chapter, and verse 16. Go ahead and read it.
This is 1 Kings chapter 9, verse 16. For Pharaoh, king of Egypt, had gone up and taken Gezer and burnt it with fire, and slain the Canaanites that dwelt in the city.
Now look, he went up and slain these Canaanites that dwelled in Gezer, right? And burnt their city. Go ahead and read it.
And given it for a present unto his daughter, Solomon's wife.
So now he done gave this town and these Canaanites to Solomon's wife, which was the daughter of Pharaoh. Go ahead and read.
Verse 17. And Solomon built Gezer and Beth-horon, the Nether, and Baaleth and Tatmor in the wilderness in the land. And all the cities of the store that Solomon had, and cities for his chariots, and cities for his horsemen, and that which Solomon desired to build in Jerusalem.
See, Solomon, he was a builder, man. You know, he building the country up. Right? Horse stalls, and you know, he had wood coming from Lebanon, and gold and silver in abundance. You know, he really built the country up. So his father-in-law, excuse me, gave him some Canaanites for servants. Go ahead and read.
Solomon desired to build in Jerusalem and in Lebanon and in all the land of his dominion.
Go ahead.
And all the people that were left of the Amorites, Hittites, and...
So wait a minute, who are these Amorites and Hittites? Who are they? These are Canaanites. These are Cain's children.
Come on.
The Amorites. That's why I had you read that earlier. The Amorites, the Hittites, who else?
Perizzites, Hivites,
Go ahead.
Jebusites, which were not of the children of Israel.
Which were not of the children of Israel. Go ahead and read.
Their children that were left after them in the land, whom the children of Israel also were not able utterly to destroy.
Go ahead.
Upon those did Solomon levy a tribute of bond service unto this day.
Oh, so those people who they could not find their genealogy, these are the children of these bondmen, of these Canaanites that the Pharaoh gave to Solomon. That's why they couldn't find their register, because they were not Israelites, they were Canaanites in the priest's office.
Bring it out, brother.
Now, I got a question for you. if they were like the Jews we see today, they would have known right off the top. Because we already know that the Canaanites were black people, right? But if the Israelites would have looked like the people call themselves Jews today, they would have known, they would have never got into the priest's office.
Bring it out, brother.
Because they would have known, they look, what you doing? What y'all doing? Y'all don't have no business here. No, let's stand back. Because Israel didn't too much mess around with no strangers anyway. So now these people were Canaanites. Everybody was black. The Israelites were black, and so were these Canaanites, these servants of Solomon. They all were black.
Yes, sir.
That's how they didn't know. That's why they didn't know that these people were not Israelites. Because everybody was black. And then their last name Israel, so hey, we don't have no problem with y'all. But they took on the name of their wives. Therefore, everybody being black, they didn't pay no attention to it. So we got to wait for somebody that's got some light and perfection to figure this thing out. So that's who these people were. They were Solomon's servants, children, that had come into the priest's office, and they didn't understand who these people was because everybody was black. Does everybody understand? Amen. Go ahead and read that verse 22.
22.
Uh-huh.
But of the children of Israel did Solomon make no bondmen.
See, he made these Canaanites bondmen and bondwomen, and their children were during the time of Ezra. See how long they stayed in the land? This is around, around Ezra's time was 536 BC. And right here, during Solomon's time was 992 BC. So we're looking at about 400 and something years later. These people were still in the land. Does everybody understand? Just like we seen that Canaanite woman that was talking to Jesus, still, the Canaanites still, and probably still got some there now. I don't know. Haven't did no research on that. But you probably still got some black people that's not Israelite, right, in the land. Canaanites. Look at the Indians. How long did it? Indians been here for over 1,000 years. In this land. Let's go now. Let's go to Exodus. I'm sorry. We're gonna look at these. Let's look at these pictures right here of these Egyptians. Now, these are look at these Egyptians. And every one, does any one of these look like an Arab to you? Can y'all see this? Does any one of these look like an Arab to you? Even the mummy is black right there. Look at that mummy right there. She even black. I could have showed you a mummy with kinky hair and everything, face still black. A mummy. Just like this mummy right here ain't got no hair, but his face is still black. And all the Egyptians right here that you see, these are all Egyptians, and they all are still black. All of them. African features. Does everybody see that? No such thing as no African Arab. Unless he called it Africa by way of habitation. But you rarely see anybody in Africa that's an Arab call himself African. They say, well, I'm a Libyan. They call themselves after the country. Just like we say, we're Americans, right? Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Amen. So all these Egyptians right here, and these are from different generations right here. They are all black. Let's go now. Let's go to Exodus, the 2nd chapter. Exodus 2. I hope everybody's following along because I try to make this as simple as possible. Exodus 2 and 1. Exodus 2 and 1. Now we're going to pick up the birth of Moses right here. We're going to pick up Moses' birth. And you know, Moses was born in Egypt. Okay, so now let's pick up this verse. And look who snatched him up. Exodus 2 and 1. Go ahead and read it.
Exodus chapter 2, verse 1.
Uh-huh.
And there went a man of the house of Levi, and took to wife a daughter of Levi.
Now who is Levi? That's an Israelite, right? That's Jacob's fourth oldest son. That's why I pointed that out earlier. I'm sorry, third oldest son. That's why I pointed that out earlier. And Judah would be his fourth oldest son. So we're looking at Levi right here, Jacob's third oldest son. Go ahead and read.
And the woman conceived and bare a son. And when she saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months.
Now why did she hid him? Because Pharaoh at this time were killing the babies at this time. He was destroying and killing the babies. So if we find the Egyptian child, we're going to kill him. So the mama, she hid him as long as she could. But look what happened. Go ahead and read.
Verse 3.
Uh-huh.
And when she could not longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes, and daubed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein. And she laid it in the flags by the river's brink. And his sister stood afar off to wit what would be done to him. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river. And her maidens walked along by the river's side.
Go ahead.
And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it.
Now here go Pharaoh. So you think this just happened by chance? No. God will set this up. So now here comes Pharaoh now down to the river to wash herself, and Mama put Moses in a little bull, or whatever you want to call it, a little boat, whatever you call it, and sent him down the river because she could no longer hide him. So now here comes Pharaoh's daughter getting ready. When Pharaoh's daughter is what color? She black, right? But look at what she gonna say. Go ahead and read.
Verse 6.
And
when she had opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the babe wept. And she had compassion on him.
Go ahead.
And said, this is one of the Hebrews' children.
Now look, wait a minute. She knew the difference between Egyptian and Hebrew. And she said, look, this is one of the Egyptian children. I'm sorry, one of the Hebrew children. Notice something. She called him a Hebrew. She didn't say Israelite, did she? She could have said Israelite, but she said Hebrew. Why? Because Israelites are Hebrews. Ishmael, he is a Hebrew. Which of the Arabs, they Hebrew. Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. Verse 7.
Uh-huh.
Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee?
Now this Moses' sister now, she done came up to Pharaoh's daughter and said, look, can I go find you a nurse for the child? And what did she say? Go ahead.
And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, go. And the maid went and called the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, take this child away and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages.
Now look, Moses' mother nursed him. Moses' mother nursed him. Go ahead and read.
And the woman took the child and nursed it. And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter.
Go ahead.
And he became her son.
And he became her son. Now wait a minute. Don't you think Pharaoh saw his grandson? He'd have been like, hey, how is this my grandson and he's a different color? How could this be? But you don't see that, do you?
No, sir.
And then not only that, he was killing the children. He's like, give me that child. And killed it. Because that's what Pharaoh was doing at this time. Killing the male children. Right? So now, Pharaoh's daughter had taken Moses to be her son. Go ahead and read.
And she called his name Moses. And she said, because I drew him out of the water.
That's what Moses' name means. Drawn out of the water. Up out of the water. Go ahead and read.
And it came to pass in those days, when Moses was grown, that he went out unto the brethren and looked on the birds.
Read that one more time.
And it came to pass in those days, when Moses was grown,
go ahead,
that he went out unto his brethren
Uh-huh.
and looked on their birds.
He said he looked out to his brethren. Who is his brethren?
Israel.
Israel. See, Moses knew he was an Israelite. He knew he was an Hebrew. Not like you see on the movie, they find a little cloth and everything, everybody shocked. Oh, you're a Hebrew. Moses knew he was a Hebrew. Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And looked on their burden.
Uh-huh.
And he spied an Egyptian smiting a Hebrew,
Uh-huh.
one of his brethren.
See, a Hebrew, one of his brethren. So he knew that he was an Hebrew. He knew he was an Israelite. Now he grown now. so he knew it. So what did he do?
And he looked this way and that way.
Uh-huh.
And when he saw that there was no man,
Go ahead.
he slew the Egyptian.
Now he killed the Egyptian. Why? Because he saw the Egyptians smacking one of his brethren. So he killed him. And did what?
And slew him
Uh-huh.
and hid him in the sand.
And hid him in the sand. Skip down to verse 15. Skip to verse 15. Go ahead.
Now when Pharaoh heard this thing,
Uh-huh.
he sought to slay Moses.
Wait a minute. Now Pharaoh like, oh, wait a minute. You still a Hebrew, despite the fact that you grew up in my house. You are still a Hebrew, right? And now I'm gonna have to do something to you, because you don't. That'd be just like here during the slavery times. If a black man was caught, he killed a white man, he gonna get in trouble, right?
So no.
And that's the same thing like it was in Egyptian. Although we like you and everything, and you grew up in my house, but you can't be around here killing no Egyptians. Go ahead and read.
15.
Uh-huh.
Now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moses, but Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh
Uh-huh.
and dwelt in the land of Midian.
Go ahead.
And he sat down by a well.
Now Moses he done took off and went into the land of the Midianites. Who is Midian? Well, that's Abraham, one of Abraham's sons, Midian. Right? Not Arab, they're not Arabs, but they are Midianites. One of Abraham, because Abraham had another wife, Keturah, right? And then she had 6 children, 6 boys by him. And one of the boys was who? Midian. So actually, this is Moses' relatives.
Come on. Make it plain, though.
Does everybody understand?
Yeah.
Go ahead and read.
16.
Uh-huh.
Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water and filled the troughs to water their father's flock.
Uh-huh.
And the shepherds came and drove them away, but Moses stood up and helped them
Uh-huh.
and watered their flock.
Go ahead.
And when they came to Ruel, their father, he said, "How is it that ye are come so soon today?"
Now, they coming back there, they must have got back there pretty quick. And you're like, how y'all coming back so quick? What did they say?
And they said,
Uh-huh.
"An Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds."
Stop right there. An Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds. An Egyptian. Now, why they calling Moses Egyptian? I don't care. Just say, well, he was dressed like an Egyptian. Okay. What does that mean? If a Chinese person come here dressed like an American, he's still Chinese. You still can't get them mixed up. But since Moses black, the Egyptian's black, and then Moses dressed like an Egyptian, they just, hey, an Egyptian delivered us. Everybody understand?
Amen.
An Egyptian delivered us. Just because a man's pedigree don't change, because he left from one country to another, that don't change his pedigree. He's still the same pedigree.
That's right.
And Moses was an Israelite, but they said, look, an Egyptian delivered us out of the hands of the shepherds. Uh-huh.
And also drew water enough for us and watered the flock.
Now, so they looked at Moses as an Egyptian. Why? Because the Egyptians are black and Moses was black.
That's right.
Moses was black. Let's go now. Let's go to Exodus, the 4th chapter. Exodus 4, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Exodus 4 and 1. Everybody got it?
Amen.
Go ahead and read it.
Exodus chapter 4, verse 1. And Moses answered and said,
Now look at what he's getting ready to do to Moses right here. Everybody pay attention. Look at what he's getting ready to do to Moses. Go ahead and read it.
and Moses answered and said, But behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice.
Go ahead.
For they will say, The Lord hath not appeared unto thee.
Now look at what God getting ready to do to Moses right here. He said, they're not going to believe me. Right? They're not going to believe that you appeared unto me. So what am I going to say to them? Go ahead and read.
And the Lord said to him, What is it what is that in thine hand? And he said, A rod.
Go ahead.
And he said, Cast it on the ground.
Now this is the Lord talking to Moses. He said, cast that rod on the ground. Go ahead and read.
And he said, Cast it on the ground, and he cast it on the ground. And it became a serpent.
Go ahead.
And Moses fled from before.
See, God got to get your attention sometime. Throw that rod on the ground, Moses. Threw the rod on the ground, turned to the snake, and he took off running.
Yes, sir.
Now he got his attention. But then he's really going to get Moses' attention. Go ahead and read.
Verse 4.
And
the Lord said unto Moses, Put forth thine hand and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand.
Go ahead. Now that's enough right there to say, but I'm dealing with God right here.
Yes, sir.
But it wasn't enough for God to show Moses. So now look at what he did. Go ahead and read.
Verse 5.
That
they may believe that the Lord God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob have appeared unto thee. And the Lord said furthermore unto him, Put now thine hand into thy bosom.
Put now your hand into your bosom. Moses, go ahead and read.
And he put his hand in his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow.
Ooh. Now if I'm black, and then I put my hand in my bosom, take it out, it's white as snow, you got my attention. I'm probably going to be looking like this, shaking. Turn it back, turn it back. But you got my attention now, right? And you would have anybody's attention, just like his sister Miriam. Miriam had started talking crazy to Moses, told Miriam, step outside for a minute. I want to talk to you and Aaron. Next thing you know, bam, he turned Miriam white. I know Aaron had to be like shaking right there, standing there. And so he started hollering, turn it back, Lord. Moses started hollering, turn it back, Lord, turn it back. But look, if Moses had been white already, you turned my hand a couple of shades lighter, okay. You got something else you want to show me? You kind of got me with the snake thing, but now my hand's just a couple of shades lighter, okay. You got something else? But if my hand is black and you turn my hand white, now you got my attention. This here is God dealing with me. Go ahead and read that over.
Verse 6. And the Lord said furthermore unto him, Put now thine hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow.
White as snow. Man, that had to be a sight to see there, man. Your hand white like snow. I'm like, man, this got to be God. Verse 7, go ahead and read it.
And he said, Put thine hand into thy bosom again.
Go ahead.
And he put his hand into his bosom again and plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned again as his other flesh.
So now the Lord really showed him, say, look, put your hand back in your bosom, and pull his hand back out, and now his hand is back to its original color. Black. Black. Let's go now. Let's go to Matthew, the first chapter. Matthew, the first chapter. And we're going to pick it up. We're going to read one verse, verse 17. And we want to move down some. We want to get down through the generations some. So we're going to Matthew 1, and we're going to pick it up at verse 17 because we want to get down through the generations. Matthew 1 and 17. Go ahead and read it.
Matthew chapter 1, verse 17. So all the generations of Abraham to David are 14 generations. And from David unto the carrying away into Babylon.
From David unto the carrying away into Babylon. And that's what that's what we want to concentrate on, except we're going to go from Assyria to Babylon. Go ahead and finish that.
Yes, sir. And from David unto the carrying away into Babylon are 14 generations. And from the carrying away into Babylon unto Christ
go ahead.
Are 14 generations.
Are 14 generations. Now let's go to Jeremiah the 50th chapter. Jeremiah 50. And so we're not going to pick it up exactly at Babylon, but we're going to pick it up at the captivity before Babylon. So we're going to, and then we're going to bring in Babylon. We're going to Jeremiah 50 and 17. Jeremiah 50 and 17. When you get it, brother, go ahead and read it. Jeremiah 50 and 17. Go ahead and read it.
Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 17. Israel is a scattered sheep.
Because that's what we're going to show you in the next lesson. We're going to show you the scattering of Israel in the next lesson. So he said, look, Israel is a scattered sheep. Go ahead.
The lions have driven him away. First the king of Assyria.
The king of Assyria had came in.
First the king of Assyria have devoured him. And last, this Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had broken his bones.
So he said, and this at last, this king Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, has broken his bones. So first, the Syrians scattered them, then the Babylonians scattered them. Go ahead and read.
Therefore, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will punish the king of Babylon and his land.
Go ahead.
As I have punished the king of Assyria.
As I have punished the king of Assyria. But Assyria, they scattered it. We're not going to show you the Babylonian scattering until the next lesson, but we're going to show you the Assyrian scattering or captivity. So let's look at this picture right here. Now this is an Assyrian captivity that is also a Babylonian captivity mixed in with this. But we just want to show you that the children of Israel, look how they look. They have what we commonly call now Negroid features. Not Arab, right? Not Gentile, but Negroid features. Look at those faces. And look right here. They got braids in their heads. It looks like their beards are even braided. I wonder how they did that, man. that looked sharp, wouldn't it? Brothers went around with beards in their braids. Their beards braided. Look at that. So now these Israelites right here are going into captivity. You see them with their bags in their hands right here, right? And up here too. Look like they're carrying something. But the main point that I'm trying to show you is that they have Negroid features. Not Gentile features, not Arab features, but Negroid features. Does everybody see that? Yeah. Let's go now. Let's go to Jeremiah the 52nd chapter. Jeremiah 52. Look at this, Jeremiah 52. So we're showing you that the children of Israel are a black people. Are a black people.
Yes, sir.
Not was, but are a black people.
Hello.
You got those people out there that call themselves Jews in Japan. They call themselves Jews. Talking about, we want to go back to our country. Got the little cloth on like you see them have over in Israel, a little cloth. That makes you a Jew. Okay. Spiritually, you might be one of them Jews, but physically, you are not a Jew. You are not an Israelite. I mean, you got people somewhere everywhere. Over in India, you have some people over there calling themselves Jews. I'm like, how could you be a Jew when the Jews were scattered among the Judah, shown up, was scattered among the nations, and you still sitting in the land of your nativity? Just like the Asians. Sitting in the land of your nativity. You sitting on the Asian continent. That's where you was conceived. Let's go now. Let's go to Jeremiah, the 52nd chapter, and we're going to pick up at verse 1. Jeremiah 52 and 1. Go ahead and read it.
Jeremiah chapter 52, verse 1. Zedekiah was 120 years old when he began to reign. And he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah.
Go ahead.
And he did that which was evil in the eyes of the Lord, according to all that Jehoiakim had done. For through the anger of the Lord it came to pass in Jerusalem and Judah, till he had cast them out from the presence, that Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon.
Now, Zedekiah, he had rebelled against the king of Babylon, which was Nebuchadnezzar, right?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read.
And it came to pass in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, in the 10th day of the month, that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came, he and all his army against Jerusalem, and pitched against it, and built forts against it round about.
Now look, this is Babylon now, because remember, who scattered Israel? It was Assyrians first, then the Babylonians, right? So now here come the Babylonians against the children of Israel. Go ahead and read.
And built forts against it round about. So the city was besieged until the 11th year of King Zedekiah.
Now look, Babylon got the Israelites or Jerusalem in a siege now for 11 years. Verse 6, go ahead and read it.
And in the 4th year, in the 4th month, in the 9th day of the month, the famine was sore in the city.
The famine was sore in the city. So now it's a famine now in the city. Go ahead and read.
So that there was no bread for the people of the land.
Now, so it's a famine in the city. Now look at what they said when this famine took place. Let's go to Lamentations, the 5th chapter. Lamentations 5. Right on over to Lamentations, the 5th chapter. And we're going to pick it up at verse 10. Lamentations 5 and 10. What's the clock for? Lamentations 5 and 10. Lamentations 5 and 10. Go ahead and read it.
Lamentations chapter 5, verse 10.
Remember, they were in the famine, right? And now they're in the land still, and now there's a famine going on in the land. Look at what the book says. Go ahead and read.
Our skin was black like an oven because of the terrible famine.
Wait a minute. They said our skin was black like an oven because of the terrible famine. This is when the Babylonians came in there and seized Jerusalem, and then they came and seized Jerusalem, and then Jerusalem was in a famine. And now they said our skin was black like an oven because of this terrible famine. This is what the Israelites are saying. Now, we can stop right here. Because it don't get no plainer than this. Our skin was black like an oven? That's black, ain't it? So if you have a fight, we call them blue-black. People used to fight about that. We call them blue-black, man. Look here. It was fight words, wasn't it? See, your skin black like an oven? Man, you blue-black. But I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you what color Jesus was. Because I know people think, you know, brother tell me, say, I was showing him in Revelation 14 chapter, his skin was like burnt brass, right? Have you ever worked in a metal shop? I'm like, work in a metal shop? What that got to do with anything? So he gonna try to show me what color burnt brass. I said, you ain't got to tell me what color burnt brass is and try to persuade me by you telling me that you worked in a metal shop before, or did I work in a metal shop? Because I know what color burnt brass is, and I'm going to show you in this lesson what color burnt brass is. Don't try to convince me, have you ever worked in a foundry before? No, I've been in them before though. But anyway, so the children of Israel at this time when they were in the famine, they said, look, our skin was black like an oven. And that's black, ain't it? Let's go to Jeremiah the 13th chapter. Jeremiah 13. And we're going to pick it up in verse, I forgot to tell y'all, we're going to be in and out of Jeremiah. Jeremiah 13, and we're going to pick up in verse 23. Because what color is the Ethiopian? He blue-black. Right? He is blue-black. Now look at what the Lord has written right here. Jeremiah 13 and 23. Jeremiah 13 and 23. Y'all still with me? Yeah. Turn that heat up just a little bit. Jeremiah 13 and 23. Go ahead and read it. You'll be all right. 13 and 23. Go ahead and read it.
Jeremiah chapter 13, verse 23.
Uh-huh.
Can the Ethiopian change his skin?
Can the Ethiopian change his skin? And we see even today. See, that's why the Lord didn't liken the children of Israel after the Egyptians, which were black people. Because the Arabs came in around the 6th century and took over Egypt, and now you got people in there light-skinned. Right? So if the Egyptians still hadn't been black, then he probably would have, which they are, but I'm saying the country of Egypt had still been ran by black people, then the Lord could have likened them unto the Egyptian. But he had likened them unto the Ethiopian. Why? Because the Ethiopian, his skin don't change colors. His skin did not change colors. Go ahead and read that again.
Can the Ethiopian change his skin? Or the leopard his spots?
Can a leopard change his spots? Nope. He can't change his spots. Go ahead and read.
Then may ye also do good, that are accustomed to do evil.
So now look, so the Ethiopian, he can't change his color. I'm gonna let you know something. Israel can't change his color neither. Ain't no such thing, and I'm not trying to be offensive to nobody, but ain't no such thing as no white Jew. No such thing. Now, spiritually, anybody could be a Jew. So I don't want to get it mixed up. Spiritually, anybody could be a Jew, but physically and biologically, the Jews or the Israelites are a black people. Let's go now. Let's go to Amos the 9th chapter. Amos 9. Amos the 9th chapter, and we're going to pick it up at verse 7. We're going to read one verse. Verse 7. Amos 9 and 7. Oh, I'm sorry, we got a slide right here. Let's go back to that slide. Now, this is a picture of the Ethiopians as well as the Philistines. Now, check this out. This is a bronze statue of an African known as Ethiopian youth. So now this is a young man right here, which is an Ethiopian. Look at what color he is. Look at his features right here, African features. Does everybody see that? Amen. And we can look at the Ethiopians today and see that they have African features. They still the same color. Now these right here are Philistines. This right here was taken from Jericho, Philistines, a relief from the Medinet Habu temple. This was taken out of a temple in the land of the Canaanites. So now look at these people right here. These people are depicted as African people. And this one right here this is a Philistine right here with a feather guard on his head right here, or a feather hat on. This is a Philistine. And you see what features they have and what color they are. African. African. Not Negroid. But African. Does everybody understand? Let's go now. Let's go to Acts the 9th chapter. Amos the 9th chapter. Amos, I'm trying to rush now for some reason. Amos the 9th chapter. And we're going to pick it up at verse 7. I still got a whole half an hour to go. Amos the 9th chapter. We're going to read one verse. Verse 7. Go ahead and read it.
Amos chapter 9, verse 7.
Uh-huh.
Are ye not as children of the Ethiopians unto me?
Are you not, now look, he said, are you not as the children of Ethiopians unto me? Why? Because the Ethiopians are still black today. Go ahead and read.
Are ye not as the children of Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel?
O children of Israel,
Saith the Lord.
saith the Lord. So now, when they said our skin was black like an oven, they look like who? The Ethiopians. They look just like the Ethiopians. Finish that.
Have not I brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt?
Uh-huh. Now, keep reading.
And the Philistines from Keftor,
And the
and
Philistines.
the Syrians from Kir.
Now, let's go to Jeremiah, the 14th chapter. I think this is going to be the last time we in Jeremiah. I'm going to tell y'all that. Jeremiah 14. Now, look at this. Jeremiah 14, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Jeremiah 14 and 1. He said, are you not as the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel? Jeremiah 14 and 1. Go ahead and read it.
Jeremiah chapter 14, verse 1.
Uh-huh.
The word of the Lord that came to Jeremiah concerning the dearth.
Uh-huh.
Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish.
Now, this concerning the dearth. This is the famine. Go ahead and read.
They are black unto the ground.
Read that verse 2 again.
Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish.
Uh-huh.
They are black unto the ground.
They are black unto the ground. They look just like the Ethiopians. Because the Ethiopians, they what we call blue-black. They are black unto the ground. Go ahead and finish that.
And the cry of Jerusalem is gone up.
Now, let's go to Hebrews, the 7th chapter. Uh-oh. We finna get down. I know this probably gonna make some people upset what we're about to embark on now. So you gotta get mad with or get upset with the Lord. Don't get upset with us. You gotta get upset with the Lord. Hebrews, the 7th chapter, Hebrews 7. And we're gonna pick it up at verse 14. Hebrews 7 and 14. Hebrews 7 and 14. Go ahead and read it.
Hebrews chapter 7, verse 14.
I remember, Judah, he is black as the ground, right? Hebrews 7 and 14. Go ahead and read it.
For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah.
He sprang out of what tribe?
Judah.
Uh-oh. It is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah. So what color would that make the Lord then? Black unto the ground. But I'm going to show you, he is black unto the ground. Read that one more time.
For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah.
It is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah. Uh-huh.
Of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning priesthood.
Now, let's go to Matthew, the 1st chapter, Matthew 1. Matthew 1, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Matthew 1, and we're just going to run down Jesus' genealogy just a little bit here. Matthew 1, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. So, Judah is black into the ground, right? So, Jesus came out of Judah. So, what color would that make Jesus then? Black.
Yes, sir.
Now, don't nobody get upset now. But I'm going to show you something. Because a black man created this world. A black man did. He created this world. We had Matthew 1. We had Matthew. Oh, I know somebody going to get upset about that. Matthew 1 and 1. But you got to take it up with the Lord. Or call Caleb. Don't bother me. Matthew 1 and 1. Matthew 1 and verse 1. Go ahead and read it.
Matthew chapter 1, verse 1.
Uh-huh.
The book of the generation of Jesus Christ.
Uh-huh.
The son of David.
Stop right there. Be the son of David. What color is David? What tribe he come from? Judah. Go ahead and read.
The son of David, the son of Abraham.
Oh, wait a minute. What color would that make Abraham then? Black. Go ahead and read.
Abraham begot Isaac,
Uh-huh.
and Isaac begot Jacob.
What color would be Isaac and Jacob then? Black. Go ahead and read.
And Jacob begot Judas.
Judah? We just read about Judah, didn't we? He is black unto the ground, right? So now, and so Jacob begot Judas, right? What verse you at?
Judas and his brother in verse 3.
Okay, skip to verse 6. Let's get straight to it. Verse 6. Go ahead and read it.
And Jesse begot David the king.
Uh-huh.
And David the king begot Solomon.
Solomon? What color would Solomon be within? Black. Go ahead and finish that.
Of her that had been the wife of Urias.
Uh-huh.
And Solomon begot...
Now, wait a minute. Uriah, the Hittite. If he a Hittite, then what color was he? Black. Ain't that the Africans? Hittite. So his mother and his father were black. So what color was he then? Black. Come on, man. Quit playing. Read that verse 6 again.
And Jesse begot David the king. And David the king begot Solomon of her that had been the wife of Urias. And Solomon begot Rehoboam.
You're going to stop right there. So now we're looking at all black people, and mainly from the tribe of Judah, right here. So David was black. First of all, Jesus was black. Abraham was black. Solomon was black. David was black. Now I'm going to show you that Jesus, indeed, he was pretty dark. He was pretty dark. Let's go now. Let's go to Songs of Solomon, the first chapter. Songs of Solomon, the first chapter. And we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Songs of Solomon, the first chapter, and verse 1. Everybody with me so far? Amen. We are looking at dark-skinned or black people. We've been looking at them all the time. Except when you get to Nebuchadnezzar and them in Babylon. We had Songs of Solomon 1, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Go ahead and read that.
Song of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 1. The Song of Songs, which is Solomon.
Which is who?
Solomon.
Solomon. Skip to verse 4. Go ahead and read.
Draw me, we will run after thee.
Because, you know, some people think that this is Solomon talking about himself. And then some people try to disguise the way he's talking about a Shulamite woman, when you don't see no Shulamite in this book right here. And he's not talking about himself. But if he was talking about himself, what color would he be? Black. So read that verse 4 again. Go ahead.
Verse 4. Draw me, we will run after thee. The king hath brought me into his chamber. We will be glad and rejoice in thee.
Go ahead.
We will remember thy love more than wine. The upright love thee. I am black, but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem. As the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon.
As the what?
As the tent of Kedar. As the curtains of Solomon.
Now Solomon's not talking about himself. So he's talking about somebody else, right? He said, I am black, but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem. Right? As the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. And this person right here is pretty dark. Because those curtains of Solomon, I think that was last year we showed them last year. They are dark. Go ahead and read.
Look not upon me because I am black. Because the sun hath looked upon me.
Go ahead.
My mother's children was angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyard. But my own vineyard have I not kept.
He said, my mother's, look not upon me because I am black, because the sun have looked upon me. Now what happens to us when we out in the sun? We get darker. We call it a shade, a tan now, right? You even see people of other ethnicities standing out in the sun or laying out on the beach trying to get a tan. But all we had to do is just walk in the sun and it just automatically we tan. I stick this arm out the window when I'm driving my truck, right? This arm is darker than this arm because the sun have hit this arm while I got it sticking out the window, right? So he said, look not upon me because I am black, because the sun have looked upon me. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyard, but my own vineyard have I not kept. My mother's children were angry. Let's go now. Let's go to Mark, the 6th chapter. Mark 6. We almost done. Mark 6, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Mark 6 and 1. Now look at what the Lord, because we'll show you that this is Solomon talking about the Lord, saying that he is black. The Lord is black. He said, my mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyard, but my own vineyard have I not kept. Mark 6 and 1. Mark 6 and 1. Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. Mark chapter 6, verse 1.
Uh-huh.
And he went out from thence and came into his own country.
Now look, this Jesus now. He came to his own country. Uh-huh.
And his disciples followed him.
Uh-huh.
And when the Sabbath day was to come,
Uh-huh.
he began to teach in the synagogue.
Now, you mean Jesus was teaching on the Sabbath day? That's right. And that's what we are supposed to be doing. And that's what the Christian ones that call themselves Christians supposed to be doing. Teaching on the Sabbath. Jesus wasn't standing up hollering, reading those 2 scriptures, and then all the people started running and everything, hollering it. No, he taught.
Yes, sir.
He taught. Go ahead and read.
And when the Sabbath day was come, he began to teach in the synagogue.
Uh-huh.
And many hearing him were astonished, saying, from whence hath this man these things?
Uh-huh.
And what wisdom is this which is given unto him, that even such mighty works are wrought?
And they look
by
at
his
him,
hands?
we know Jesus. Who gave him all of this knowledge like this? You know, he's from the hood. So how can he know all this? Better be careful, because that's where the knowledge is coming from, the hood. That's where it's coming from. Go ahead and read.
Verse 3.
Uh-huh.
Is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary,
Uh-huh.
the brother of James,
See, we
and
know
Joseph?
him. We know his mother and his father and his sisters and brothers. We know him. He couldn't have all this wisdom. Oh, yes, he could. Go ahead and read.
The brother of James and Joseph, and of Judah and Simon, and are not his sisters here with us?
See, he had sisters. Said, are not his sisters here with us? See, you don't hear about this, about Jesus, that he had brothers, natural brothers and sisters. You rarely hear this about Jesus. They say, you know, ain't this the carpenter's son? Mary is his mother. We know him. He stayed down there on 39th Street. Remember? Stayed down there. We know his brothers and his sisters, man. Who this guy? How you know all this? Well, like my teacher used to say, he had to come from somewhere. And that's where the knowledge is coming. You want to understand about the Word of God, you're going to have to go to the captives. You're going to have to go to the hood. Go ahead and read.
And they were offended at him. But Jesus said unto
Look at that.
them,
Instead of them saying, man, he understands the Word of God. They were offended, just like your relatives now. And your family, you take them this Word of God, and they're going to be offended. And now here we are dealing with the master right here. You know he laying the scriptures down. You know he laying it down to them. And they offended at him. So you are in good company when you go to your family members and they are offended at you. You're in good company. Because Jesus, his own family members were offended at him and his countrymen. Go ahead and read. What verse you at?
Verse 4.
Uh-huh.
But Jesus said unto them,
Uh-huh.
a prophet is not without honor, but in his own country.
A prophet is not without honor, but what?
In his own country.
His own country. And who else?
And among his own kin.
And among his own kin.
And in his own house.
And in his own house. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyard, but mine own vineyard have I not kept. A prophet is not without honor, but in his own country and among his own kin. And just like John said, I think that's the first chapter, he came to his own, and his own received him not. Just like you. When you come to your family members, they're not going to receive. You be thinking like, man, I can't wait to get home. I'm going to tell my brother this, and I'm going to tell my mama this. And your mama look at you like, have you lost your mind? I'm talking about you an Israelite, and you don't eat pork no more. What's wrong with you? And then she start telling your brothers and sisters, they start telling all the other family members. Next thing you know, they looking at you sideways. He think he a Jew. He think he an Israelite. Where you get that from? Then they begin to ridicule you. What verse you at?
5.
Uh-huh.
And he could there do no mighty work,
Uh-huh.
save that he laid his hands upon a few sick folk.
Because that's what you want to do. When you find this word of God, who you want to take it to first?
Damn.
Your family. And they turn on you. You be thinking, man, they gonna love this. I used to be out stealing and doing this and doing that. And now I done got my life together. And now the Lord has given me his word. And I'm getting ready to take it to my family. And they're like, I ain't trying to hear that. I'm a Baptist. When I was born, I'm a Baptist till I die. Yeah, okay. You might have that right. So he said he could not do there, and he could there do no mighty works, saying that he laid his hands upon a few sick folk and healed them. He couldn't even do no works there. In his own country, among his own kin. That is really something. Let's go now. Let's go to Isaiah the 5th chapter. Isaiah the 5th chapter. Let's find out who is the Lord over this vineyard. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyard, but my own vineyard have I not kept. Let's find out who is the keeper of this vineyard. Isaiah 5 and 1. Isaiah 5 and 1. Go ahead and read.
Isaiah chapter 5, verse 1.
Uh-huh.
Now will I sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved, touching his vineyard.
Uh-huh.
My well-beloved have a vineyard and a very fruitful hill.
Go ahead.
And he fenced it and gathered out the stones thereof, and planted it with the choicest vine,
Uh-huh.
and built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a wine press therein.
Uh-huh.
And he looked that it should bring forth grapes.
Go ahead.
And it brought forth wild grapes.
Now this is not talking about actual grapes, natural grapes. This is talking about people. And we're going to show you exactly what people this is talking about. Go ahead and read.
And it brought forth wild grapes.
Uh-huh.
And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem.
And now, O inhabitants of what?
Jerusalem.
Jerusalem. So these are the grapes that he's talking about. He looked forth that they should bring forth grapes, but it brought forth wild grapes. Uh-huh.
And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem,
Uh-huh.
and men of Judah.
Go ahead.
Judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard.
Stop right there. And being what?
My vineyard.
My vineyard. My vineyard. Let's find out who this is. Said, my vineyard. Go ahead and read.
What could have been done more to my vineyard
Uh-huh.
that I have not done in it?
Go ahead.
Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes,
Uh-huh.
brought it forth wild grapes.
Go ahead.
And now go to. I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard.
Uh-huh.
I will take away the hedge thereof,
Go ahead.
and it shall be eaten up, and break down the wall thereof, and it shall be trodden down. And I will lay it waste. It shall not be pruned nor digged,
Uh-huh.
but there shall come up briars and thorns.
Go ahead.
I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain upon it.
Uh-huh.
For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts.
Stop right there. You see that? My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyard, but mine own vineyard have I not kept. For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts,
is the house of Israel.
So who is the vineyard? The Israel is the vineyard, but who is the Lord of the vineyard? The Lord of hosts, which is who? Jesus. We're going to show you. Go ahead and read.
In the men of Judah his pleasant plant.
Uh-huh.
And he looked for judgment, but behold oppression.
Uh-huh.
For righteousness, But behold, a cry.
Let's go to Psalms 102. So the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel. But the one that's the host over the vineyard, it is the Lord.
Amen.
And my mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of the vineyard, but mine own vineyard have I not kept. Because he looked forth that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes. You know, the people got out of hand. So you know what he did? They started breaking his laws, oppressing the strangers and everything. So the Lord just he was fed up with them, just took his hedges from around them.
It's written.
Let's go to Psalms 102. Psalm 102. And we're going to pick it up at verse 24. Now, I know this is going to make some people mad, but nevertheless, check it out. Psalm 102, and we're going to pick it up at verse 24. Psalm 102 and 24. Go ahead and read it.
Psalm chapter 102.
Because remember earlier I told you a black man created this world? It's written right here in the book. Psalm 102 and verse 24. Go ahead and read it.
Psalm chapter 102, verse 24.
Uh-huh.
I said, oh my God, take me not away in the midst of my days.
Uh-huh.
Thy years are throughout all generations.
Thy years are throughout all generations. Uh-huh.
Of old hast thou laid the foundation of the earth.
Wait a minute. He said, of old hast thou laid the foundation of the earth. Uh-huh.
And the heavens are the work of thy hand.
Uh-huh.
They shall
Okay,
perish.
we're going to stop right there. He said, of old hast thou laid the foundation of the earth. And who laid the foundation of the earth? God did, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, let's show you who this God is. Let's go now. Let's go to Hebrews, the first chapter. Hebrews, the first chapter. He said, of old thou hast laid the foundations of the earth. Hebrews 1, and we're going to pick it up at verse 8. Hebrews 1 and 8. When you get it, go ahead and read it.
Hebrews chapter 1, verse 8.
Uh-huh.
But unto the Son he saith,
Uh-huh.
thy throne, O God, is forever and ever.
Now look at what he said to the Son. Thy throne, O God, is forever. Who is the Son?
Christ.
Jesus the Son, right? But unto the Son he said, thy throne, O God, is forever and ever. Uh-huh.
A scepter of righteousness is the scepter of thy kingdom.
Uh-huh.
Thou hast loved righteousness and hated iniquity.
Go ahead.
Therefore God, even thy God, have anointed thee with the oil of gladness above thy fellow.
Uh-huh. Verse 10, what does it say?
And thou, Lord, in the beginning, hast laid the foundation of the earth.
Stop right there. We just read that in Psalm 102, right?
Come on.
Of old thou hast laid the foundation of the earth, right? Now he's saying this about the Son. He said, read that in verse 10 again.
And thou, Lord,
And thou, Lord,
in the beginning,
uh-huh.
hast laid the foundation of the earth.
Ooh, so who is this that laid the foundation of the earth then? Jesus. And thou, Lord, in the beginning has laid the foundation of the earth, uh-huh.
And the heavens are the works of thine hands.
We just read this in Psalm 102. And now we know who that God was that laid the foundation of the earth. It was Jesus. But he was not called Jesus then. He was called who?
Jehovah.
Jehovah. That's why we telling people, Jesus one created this earth. And he came, and Jehovah came down at Jesus ain't no Jehovah, that's the Father. No, Jehovah came down as Jesus. And Jehovah is the one who laid the foundation of the earth. And now we just read that Jesus laid the foundation of the earth. So which one is it? They are one and the same. It's just that Jehovah was God and Jesus came down as a man. And now the writer here in Hebrews is reminding us that, look, thou, O Lord, have laid the foundations of the earth. Right? Mm-hmm. Go back to verse 1. Go back to the same chapter, verse 1. Go ahead and read it.
God, who at sundry times and in diverse manner
Uh-huh.
spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets,
Uh-huh.
hath in these last days
Uh-huh.
spoken unto us by his Son,
He's spoken unto us by his Son,
whom he have appointed heir of all things,
Now look at what the book is going to say. Go ahead and read it.
by whom also he made the worlds.
Ooh. Now look, how could Jesus coming in 1 BC have created the world already here? So how could he have created a world? He didn't create it when he was Jesus. He created it when he was Jehovah.
Make it plain.
Does everybody understand? That's why I said a black man created this world. A brother, one of us, an Israelite, flesh and blood, created this world. Let's go now. Let's go now. Let's look at them again. Let's go. We got one more after this. Let's go to Colossians. I know that's going to get a lot of people upset, but nevertheless, you got to get upset with the book. Let's go to Colossians, the first chapter, Colossians 1. Colossians 1, and we're going to pick it up at verse 14. Colossians 1 and 14. A black man created this. Was he a black man when he created this world? No. But it's the same one, though. He is the same one. Let's go to Colossians 1 and 14. Go ahead and read it.
Colossians chapter 1, verse 14.
In
whom we have redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sins.
Now, who redeemed us with his blood?
Christ Jesus.
Jesus did, right? Y'all ain't got to be scared to ask. We're almost out of here. Jesus redeemed us with his blood, right? Now look at what it's going to say about Jesus. Go ahead and read.
15. Who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature.
Go ahead.
For by him were all things created.
Stop right there. You see what the book just said about him? For by him were all things created. By who? By Jesus was all things created. But like I said, he was not Jesus then. He was Jehovah. Read that one more time.
At 15. Who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature.
Go ahead.
For by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in the earth, visible and invisible.
Go ahead.
Whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers, all things were created by him and for him.
Go ahead.
And he is before all things.
And he is before all things. How could Jesus be before all things except he was here? Right? And to be before all things, you couldn't be flesh. Right? And he said before all things, remember he created principalities too, which are angels, right? So he was here before the angels.
Right.
So if he was here before the angels, then what was he when he was here before all things? God. Jehovah. Does everybody understand? Yes. We're going to try to keep this as simple as possible and show you that we indeed are the descendants of the children of Israel, and that the children of Israel are a black people. Not were, but are a black people.
Hallelujah.
Finish that, verse 17.
And he is before all things, and by him all things consist.
Now, let's go now. Let's go to Revelations, the first chapter. Uh-oh, somebody really going to be mad now. This is going to be last. Revelation, the first chapter. Start reading at verse 11.
Revelations chapter 1, verse 11. Saying, I am Alpha and Omega.
Now, wait a minute now. So, who is Alpha and Omega? That is Jesus, right?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read.
I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last. And what thou seest, write in a book, and send it unto the 7 churches which are in Asia, unto Ephesus, and unto Smyrna, and unto Pergamos, and unto Thyatira, and unto Sardis, and unto Philadelphia, and unto Laodicea.
Laodicea. Now you know this the Lord talking, right? Because it's in red, right? Verse 12. Go ahead.
And I turned to see the voice that spake with me, And being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man.
Wait a minute. And one in the midst of the candlesticks, like unto the Son of Man. Who is the Son of Man? That is Jesus, right? Go ahead and read.
Clothed with a garment down to the foot. And girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hair was white like wool.
His hair and his head was white like wool. Who got woolly hair? We do. Now the African does too, but we're not looking at no African right here. We're looking at a Hebrew or an Israelite, a Jew. Go ahead and read.
His head and his hair was white like wool. As white as snow.
Go ahead.
And his eyes were as a flame of fire.
Go ahead.
And his feet like unto fine brass.
Stop right there. And his feet like unto fine brass. As
if they burned in a furnace.
As if they burned in a furnace. Now we're going to show you this picture right here of burnt brass. Now look at this right here. First of all, look at this base right here, or jug, whatever you want to call it. This is how burnt brass look. Now look at these feet right here. Burnt brass in a furnace. Look how dark. See, the Lord was really dark. Does anybody see that? Brother, Gentile brother tell me, well, have you ever been to Boundary before? I said, no, I've been in one before, but I ain't seen no. He said, well, then you don't understand how brass is melted and how it looks after it's burned. I said, oh, yeah, I understand how that looks. It is dark, almost black, like that chair or like my hair. Well, I ain't got no hair, but y'all know what I'm saying. It is almost black. So this is how the Lord's feet looked. And this is what color this is how he looked. He was dark. I don't want to be disrespectful and say blue, black. So let's get back to the scriptures. So now, pick it back up at that verse again. 15. Verse 15.
And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burn in a furnace.
Go ahead.
And his voice as the sound of many waters. And he had in his right hand 7 stars. And out of his mouth went a sharp 2-edged sword. And his countenance was as the sun shineth in his strength. And when I saw him, I fell at his feet as dead.
Now look, he just passed out. Because you see a spirit, you gonna be scared. Because at this time the Lord was a spirit. Look at what he said. Go ahead and read.
And I fell at his feet as dead. And he laid his right hand upon me, saying unto me, fear not, I am the first and the last. I am he that liveth and was dead.
Now wait a minute. So we know that this is not the Father right here, right? And we know that this not this is the angel talking about the mouth of the Lord, but he's telling them what to say. I am he that liveth and was dead.
And behold, I am alive forevermore.
I am alive forevermore. Go ahead and finish that.
Amen. And have the keys of hell and of death.
And this is the one you want to get with right here, because he got the keys of hell and death. You want to get with him. So there you have it. Black History Part 2. The true Israelites are black. Thank you. Now we're going to have the reading of the announcements.
Grace and peace to our brothers and sisters here at the Israel's Church of the Living God. If this is your first visit, we hope you come back and worship with us again next Sabbath. There's no eating and drinking in the sanctuary with the exception for water. Brothers and sisters, please adhere to the dress code of Israel's Church of the Living God. Brothers, please remove any head covering upon entering the building. Do not wear sleeveless shirts, fleece jogging pants, shorts, tight-fitting pants, or any other revealing attire. Sisters, you must have head covering. This is required. Head scarf, etc. Do not wear pants, shorts, skirts, midriffs, or see-through blouses, mini dresses, mini skirts, halter tops of any kind, revealing splits, tight-fitting, or cleavage-revealing attire, modest apparel only. We have Bibles and scarves available for visitors. If you use a Bible or scarf that belongs to Israel's Church of the Living God, please return it prior to leaving. If you live in the Lake County, Illinois area, please watch our television program, The Word for Life, every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m., Comcast Channel 17. You can visit our Facebook page, Israel's Church of the Living God, to post questions or comments. All questions will be answered according to the Bible. Click on the Facebook like button to see our daily posts in the news feed. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel at ICOTLG567. In an effort to expand the church ministry, we have started a building fund. You can make secure payments online using our PayPal account at israelschurch.org. Or you can send your donation to the attention of ICOTLG at P.O. Box 8933, Waukegan, Illinois 60079. We thank you for your past contribution. Hope for your continued support. Free will donations are welcome and appreciated. Finally, brothers and sisters, please continue to pray for one another. This is this weekly Sabbath day announcement.
If you'd like to contact us here at Israel's Church of Living God, you can give us a call at 847-636-4792. That's 847-636-4792. We also would like for you to join us on our website. That's israelschurch.org. israelschurch.org, where you can go and follow us on Facebook, and you can also look at some of our previously recorded videos on YouTube. And we would like for those that are watching our YouTube channel to like and subscribe to our channel. If you are in need of prayer or spiritual counseling, you can see myself or Brother Caleb, or give us a call at 847-636-4792 or 847-246-4421. That's 847-636-4792 or 847-246-4421. If you would like to be baptized, and we do have a baptism coming up, I think that's the 24th of February, which is like a couple of weeks. We will be having a baptism. So if you would like to be baptized, you can see myself or Brother Caleb, or give us a call at one of those numbers.